Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Mullis, and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I do apologize that I have a slight cold. However, I'll do the absolute best I can. This is Why Doesn't Anybody Care About Health and Phys Ed, Changing Culture, one student, colleague, and parent at a time. So before we get started today, when putting this presentation together, there are some questions that I wanted you to think about. Why are you here? Are you trying to change culture in your school? And I do want to give a warning that I am going to say some things that you may disagree with, and that's okay. I think part of going to workshops and presentations is being challenged, and I hope that's okay. My goal is to give you at least one practical tip to change your culture in your class, school, or community that you can use this year coming up soon. I do want to be very transparent and give some disclaimers. I don't know it all. I don't know your kids like you do. I'm obviously not in your situation. These tips are not very necessarily scientific, but they have worked for me. My situation is not your situation. You can't really compare some things that I've done, but hopefully you can steal some ideas. And I have so much more work to do. Changing culture is an ever-going process, and by no means am I the smartest, the best, most creative, most experienced person. But I have done some cool things at my school, and culture started to shift, and I hope you can take one idea to your school to help you change culture. A little bit about me. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. I teach health and physical education to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I'm part of my state association for physical education. And I'm really lucky to do what I do every day. So what I'm going to do today is go through some practical tips to help you understand, or at least my journey on how I found what was valuable to change culture. So practical tip number one is understand your why. With changing culture, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have people, possibly colleagues, maybe administrators, that disagree with, don't understand why health and physical education is important. So understanding why you do what you do and going back to that when things get hard is critical. For me, it's very simple. My students I teach, my parents, and my friends are the people who keep me motivated the most to do what I do and understand that that's why it's important even when stuff gets difficult. Practical tip number two is understand your non-negotiables. For me, I had to meet in the middle a lot, and meet in the middle was not necessarily best practice in my eyes, but I work in a middle school, and we didn't always agree on everything what should be done, but I knew what I couldn't do, and I knew what I refused to do, and everything else I could meet on the middle and help, even if it's not necessarily best practice, which of course we want, but it's not always going to be that way. It's better than, say, rolling out a ball with basketball. Mine are very simple. If you can't convince me that your idea is kids first, it doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't do free days. I'm not a babysitter. And I don't do human target games. We have better things to teach. Practical tip number three is build respect and earn respect. If you're sitting there thinking, why do I need to earn respect? I'm a professional. I should get it. And I agree with you, but unfortunately, I don't think that's the case in most places with health and physical education teachers. So some things I want you to think about. If you left your school, what would the culture be for health and physical education? When I got into teaching, I focused on my class and do best with the kids that I taught, which is great, I think you have to start there. But I feel like my mission as a health and PE teacher is to affect all the children's health and wellness at my school within reason. So building those relationships with other teachers and administrators is critical. Of course, we build relationships with children, but what about the people we work with? One tip that I've learned is helping out with other things outside of health and physical education, from dance showcases to school dances to theater performances, even the band, Veterans Day parade, you name it. Trying to build those relationships with other teachers, because people are going to believe in you before they believe in health and wellness. Perhaps some of you have felt worked with somebody who you felt was unmotivated. or couldn't be motivated. Maybe they just want to do old school roll at the ball. My first years of teaching, I came out very gung-ho, and was very excited and didn't want to listen to anyone who were necessarily, my more experienced colleagues, and really rubbed them the wrong way when honestly they had a lot more experience with middle school, understood middle schoolers, and they love kids. So even if we don't agree on, what best practice is or how the lessons should go, we could still meet in the middle. And serving those people as much as possible and showing them and helping them buy into me and what I'm trying to do is for the best of children was critical. Practical tip number 4, create a quality health PE, health and PE program. All students are having fun. I know standards are important and critical for what we're doing, but student engagement is key. All students are learning. All students are participating in whatever you're teaching. Lessons are aligned with state and national standards. Objectives are clear. And you're teaching every single day. In health, you're teaching skills, not necessarily a ton of content. And you educate your admin. Every time they walk through the door, they probably have no idea what you're doing. Even if they were a PE teacher, things may have changed. So helping them understand how you're differentiating, how you're meeting the needs of all students. You do things that other teachers do as well, maybe even better with different skill levels, and they just might not notice. Practical tip number 5 is to create school district events for PE and health. Something when I devised this question, what do your parents think of PE? And I'd be willing to bet from people I've talked to, they either had an amazing PE teacher or someone who was absolutely awful. So if they don't know what's going on in your class, they still have that stereotype of what they had, maybe climbing the rope, dodgeball, whatever it was. So how can you advocate outside of your school? At my school, my school and district, we do several different events. And here are some of them. We do a wellness week, which is basically a spirit week for wellness. It is to celebrate our National Healthier Generation Award, which I'll talk about later. But basically Monday through Friday, we have different events. We have announcements going on, kids they dress up, teachers dress up to advocate for wellness. Thursday is probably my teacher's favorite day because they get to wear sweatpants and shorts. Anything you can do for other teachers is a great way to get them involved. Another thing we did for Wellness Week is we had a step challenge, and the winners of these step challenge received massage gift cards for about $75. We had a local business donate these, and we had teachers walking in the middle of their class time to go and try to get more steps on a Friday, and they ended up 12 teachers, so we had one for each team. We had elective team, 6th and 7th and 8th grade team. Those 4 teams walked over 400 miles in a week with their classes sometimes. It was a great way to promote health and wellness. We also had, we partnered with a local farmer and made low-cost baskets of fruit and veggies for them, which is a great way to promote health and wellness for our staff. And we also have the Fitness Bowl. In the state of South Carolina, we have the Fitness Gram, which we're required to do with our 8th graders. And we have to test them with pacer, push-ups, and some other events as well. So we've made a fitness Olympics in which each middle school in my district, which there's 8, has a team of 5 boys and 5 girls, and they compete in fitness-like events. Now we've changed the events a little bit. For example, after the push-ups, they shoot in a basketball goal, but it's really a great way to promote kids getting more fit, not just the kids that are athletic. And we had over 300 parents come to this event, and we got to advocate for about health and wellness as well as PE and what it should be. Another great event that we do is the Unified Olympics. This is the first year I've tried it. We had the members of our student council and some of our students with disabilities compete together in several different events like bowling. We had a scooter race. We had a cornhole toss and games like that. And it really was just a great event for social emotional learning, along with an amazing experience for both our students with disabilities and student council, and a great way to promote health and wellness for everybody, not just athletes necessarily. Practical tip number 6 is promote, promote, promote. If you're not promoting, who is? Social media is a really, really easy and free way to do it. I have my students follow Wilbur the Wellness Pig. Wilbur is a stuffed pig that I take everywhere with me. And he promotes a healthy lifestyle as well as what we're doing in class. The school newsletter could be another easy way, which I'll show you in a second what we do. I've heard of some teachers bringing parents into physical education, and you absolutely do amazing things in your class. And I know that you don't necessarily need the recognition, but health and PE does. So this is an example of our newsletter. As you can see in the top left, we talk about healthy habits for our Healthier Generation Award, and we also celebrate things related to fitness. In my school, we also do a free compliment Friday, which is a great event. It's very simple. You can actually Google this sheet right here, and it comes up, and students, and this is in the middle school, keep in mind, take it off at my school and they give it to people, and when they get it, they give it to another person. It's a really simple way to promote health and wellness. Kids were giving it to teachers, teachers were giving it to other teachers. It really has started to change the culture for a more healthy mindset. We also did the Biggest Loser Challenge at my school. In this event, I basically, teachers pay a certain amount at the beginning, and it's done by a percentage. And that percentage helps them determine the score, and we give a certain amount of money to first, second, and third place. And I give out healthy tips to try to promote a healthier lifestyle and help them lose weight. Practical tip number 7 is write grants. Grants are great for 2 reasons, because obviously you can get some of the equipment you need, from anything from maybe a certain health lesson that you want to do, or PE equipment as well. But it also gives you recognition. In my case, I've written grants for lacrosse sticks, the WISE grant, which I'll show you in a second, and pedometers, which enhanced our PE program and got school attention, which is great because people realize, why are you using pedometers in PE if all you do is roll out the ball? Well, that's not what we're doing. We're actually trying new things and create a buzz around our health and PE program. This is an example of a grant. I am not the best writer by any means. Some of these grants, this one was for a tower garden, which is something that we're going to try this year to add to our health program as well as our science. And it's really just bullet points, and half of it, I'm going to be honest with you, I copied from another teacher. Cheating off one person, or copying off one person is cheating. Copying off 10 people is research. I think it's perfectly okay to steal in this case. And it's really not that hard of a process, and something that you could do for your school if you found the right grant, which could be very simple. Practical tip number 8 is apply for awards. What I've noticed about PE teachers is that we're extremely competitive, but are you competitive about your program? How does your program make your school look? And what local, national, state, and awards can you apply for? Once again, I know that you don't need it. You're a humble educator who is, built to serve others. However, health and physical education, they need that recognition from your school and from your community to understand what you're doing. Number 9 is present. One, it's a great way to build credibility for yourself and your program, which helps kids. If you ask your administrator for equipment and they know that you're presenting at state and national conferences, making your school look good, you're more likely to get it. People will believe in you before they believe in PE. If you get to go present at conferences, you get better professional development, which means better lessons for children. And use buzzwords. Now, I don't know. I think social emotional learning is a great thing, of course. I don't know how long it's going to stay. However, it's important that you understand how that could play into what you're doing. Now, if you look at social emotional learning graphic here, it really is PE in a nutshell. And that's something for my administration that's huge at the moment. Practical tip 11 is try new things. The most dangerous phrase in the language is we've always done it this way. Kids get excited when you've done things that they've never tried before. Maybe it's a new dance, maybe it's stepping, something we've tried at Creighton Middle School, maybe kin ball, chook ball, just something that gets them out of the ordinary. If I could suggest any tip, this would be probably my biggest one, which is find people who are smarter than you. If you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I've been very lucky to have some people reach out that I've learned a lot from. For example, Andy, National Health Teacher of the Year, he let me, talk to him my whole first year over Voxer about what a difficult situation I felt like I was in and helped me get through it. The person in the middle is Sean Norris. He's my district's Teacher of the Year and helped me start the Middle School Fitness Bowl. If you see Micah Kurtz, he has forgotten more things about fitness, if you see all the initials after his name, than I will ever know. These are incredible people who inspire me to be a better individual and a better teacher, which absolutely helps children. Practical tip number 13 is to give students surveys and show me the data. If you're looking to get new equipment, why? Be able to back it up that 48% of your students want to try spike ball rather than badminton next year. Or that the reason you're talking about vaping instead of smoking is because 72% of your students realized that was an issue. One of my favorite questions is, do you think health and physical education will help you stay active for a lifetime? 98% of my students know that health and physical education. So if anyone ever asks me what I'm doing, I have data to support myself and to back up my program for health and PE. Practical tip number 14 is give everybody around you all the credit. I definitely made the mistake of when I was new of rubbing some colleagues of mine because I was writing grants and getting credit for it. And I realized throughout my time that I don't need the credit. Health and PE does. So as much as I can, I give the credit to other people. I try to take the attention off myself and put it on the kids and my colleagues and make them feel special as well for all the work they put in also. Practical tip number 15 is make it glitzy. If you think about this generation, particularly at my school, everybody wants to be an Instagram star, which I'm not necessarily agree with. However, I do feel like we have to meet them where they're at and then use that to our advantage and teach them some other things. So one of the ways I do that is I put my face in the middle of a $100 bill. We play different fitness game where they have to collect $100 and they really enjoy that. In health class, we have an advocacy award show where I dress up, students get to dress up. They've done research on a week about a topic of their choice, and they get to present. They get a 50-cent trophy and they get to give an award speech. And I keep a hall of fame, which the students see year after year, and they love it. They ask me about it in the middle of the hallway. Mr. Mullis, when are we going to do that again? Now in PE, that happens a lot. They love the lesson, but in health, it's a lot harder. But I had to make it bigger than my classroom, more glitzy, I guess you could say. We also do school-wide things like physical activity challenge to simply make it bigger than just my classroom. We put posters on the walls to celebrate fitness scores, along with most improvement and fitness bowl team. Practical tip number 16 is join your state organization. It makes your school look good if you are vice president or whatever. It's a fantastic way to find people who are smarter than you, who may not necessarily be on the social media train, but still wonderful teachers who have done it for a long time. And it's a great way to advocate for your profession on the state level. I've had an opportunity to talk to lawmakers in the state of South Carolina. There was a band bill that is now you can take band in South Carolina, marching band, in place of physical education. Before this bill passed, I talked to a bunch of lawmakers, and I'm very rarely the smartest person in the room, but at this point, they had no idea what quality PE looked like because they haven't been advocated to. They had a stereotype of what they did when they were younger. Practical tip number 17, don't complain without a solution. There are lots of things that happen to you that are unfair. People take your space, but from an administration standpoint, um, there may not be another option that is feasible. So if you can come to your administration or whatever the issue is, here's a solution. Can we try this? It's much more likely, in my experience, to be done that way. And complaining is negativity is like a cancer at a school, from what I've noticed. So if you come in there with, I don't like this, but this is what we can do about it, it changes people's mindset. Practical tip number 18 is set goals, crush goals, repeat. Every year I sit down with my boss. She was very gracious to take some time out of her summer and say, these are all the crazy things I want to do. What can we tackle this year? It's a good way to promote what you're doing new and some things that you can do to build that relationship with an administrator. Practical tip 19 is find health and wellness champions within your school and community. Who can help you with your mission? You can't do it by yourself. Each of these things that I've listed, or each of these people at my school, have helped in some way. For example, the school nurse is a great resource to come talk to classes. She's also helped with promoting Wellness Week. School counselors with mental and social emotional health are fantastic resources. At my school in particular, they have the CAV Character of the Month. Student council, if you can make health and wellness a priority for your student council and it's starting to come through them, I feel like that's a bigger influence, especially particularly me at a middle school, than I could ever be. A special education teacher, I told you with the Unified Olympics, was a fantastic resource. Another one I want to mention is local coaches. At my school, we have a varsity baseball coach who's won, 5 state championships. We have a national, we had a national strength coach at the high school. He was a legend, 6'2", super muscular guy. My 6th graders knew about him. I had him talk about health and wellness. Why not? High school students can also be a valuable asset if they have to do some type of project to help you put up posters to promote health and wellness or anything else. Practical tip number 20 is to set school rules to influence health and wellness. An example, like walking to school safety. Our first 3 days at my school, we go over rules and procedures. It's a great time to talk about helmet safety and walking to school. Can your students drink soda whenever they want? Or maybe you could limit it to water. Birthdays would be a great example to, instead of having a birthday 6 times a month, maybe have it 1 day a week. And recess time, can that be set in the school policy to try to influence that? Or what does your district policy say about your teachers taking away recess for a punishment? Could you use that to influence them as well? I sat down with my boss and she gave us some practical tips about health and physical education, about changing culture. And these are some of the things she said. Remember, you're turning a battleship. And what she meant by that is it's a slow process that's going to take time. She loved the fact that the PE program is doing more than just sports, and it's meeting the needs of all kids. Celebrate your good moments. And by that no one else is going to toot your horn, so you got to do it for yourself. And you have to be able to promote yourself. And when I mean yourself, it could be also your program, to show people the amazing things that you're doing. People need to keep hearing about health and wellness and keep hearing about health and wellness for it to change in your school. And the last quote is probably my favorite. The PE department is no longer doing things that are good for PE. They're doing things that is good for the entire school. So we're just reaching outside of our walls and impacting the entire school in a positive light, teachers included. So to wrap this up, why doesn't anybody care about health and phys ed anymore? And it's you. And I'm not blaming you. I know you're a superhero and you do amazing things, but if there's someone in your school who doesn't understand it, it's because they've never had an amazing teacher like yourself. So I'd like to challenge you when I say that, and I know you're working very, very hard, but what can you do a little bit differently this year to try to reach some of those teachers who don't believe in health and wellness, or to help that administrator understand, or to advocate to your parents why health and PE is important. And I hope this presentation has given you some ideas. This is my contact information if you have any questions. Please feel free to reach out. I'd be glad, and reach out on my Twitter. There's my number. Doesn't matter to me. And my email's there as well. And I tell this to every single one of my classes. I'd like to thank you for being here today. It really means a lot that you spend some of your time to listen to this presentation. And I always tell them, love you, mean it, bye. I hope that if you're in the near the South Carolina area, you come to our state conference. It's really a good one. It's simply amazing with the presentations, and it's going to be a really strong one this year. So I hope to see you there. And thank you so much for joining me today.